I still remember the way Lola used to tell us about the tick-tick when we were kids. She would gather us around, her voice low and serious, warning us to never stay outside too late. The tick-tick, she'd say, would snatch us right out the air if we weren't careful. And once it had us, we'd never make it back home. The sound it made was tick-tick, was its warning. If it was close, it was actually far away. But if it sounded distant, it was right beside you, ready to strike. Back then, her stories terrified me and my cousins. We were always careful, never staying out past sundown, just like Lola told us. But as I got older, I stopped believing in those stories. They were just tales, I thought, meant to keep us from wandering too far after dark. Now as an adult, those old fears had disappeared. But one night, something happened that made me question everything I thought I knew. It was late, and I was coming home from work, heading to my girlfriend's house. The streets were mostly empty, the air cool and still. As I walked to the bus stop, I suddenly heard it, a strange faint sound. Tick, tick. It was so close, I instinctively turned around, expecting to see something there, but there was nothing. Just shadow and the dim glow of the streetlights. I shook my head, telling myself I was just tired, hearing things that weren't there. But as I waited for the bus, the sound continued. Tick, tick. Still close, still unnervingly clear. But when the bus finally arrived, I was relieved. I boarded quickly, glancing at the other passengers. Just a little boy and an elderly woman, sitting quietly at the back, and the bus driver up front. The doors closed and we started moving. The sound seemed to fade, growing fainter and fainter. I felt a strange relief wash over me, thinking that whatever it was finally gone. When we reached my stop, I stood up, ready to get off and finally get some good rest. But as I approached the door, the bus driver called out to me, "Hey, stay on the bus." I turned to him confused. "What? Why? This is my stop." He didn't answer at first, just looked at me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. "Just stay on the bus," he repeated. I was about to argue, frustration bubbling up inside me, but before I could, the old woman spoke up. Her voice was stern, almost scolding. "You know that thing is very close by, right?" Her words stopped me cold. My heart skipped a beat as the realization hit me. The memory of Lola's stories flooding back. The farther it sounds away, the closer it is. And right now, the tick-tick sounded like it was a mile away. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. The bus was quiet now, too quiet. A sound that seemed to be so distant only moments ago was no longer audible at all, and that terrified me more than anything. "Sit down," the woman said, her eyes boring into mine. "We're not stopping until it's safe." I didn't argue. I sat back down into my seat, my heart pounding into my chest. The bus driver didn't say another word, just kept driving. The night was stretching on as the tick-tick silence loomed over us like a shadow. Lola's stories were no longer just a tale. They were a warning, and now I knew the tick-tick was real.